Greetings. This is clip 2. The front, on page 7A of the Valdosta Daily Times, you will see a picture by Councilman James Wright and the Valdosta Daily Times reporter. And it's concerning SPLOST 7. The headlines read, Councilman rebuts Tea Party claims. Right, and quote, I am for SPLOST. In other words, James Wright is for it. George Boston Rhymes, I'm against it. I said it at the city council meeting, and I'm still against it. And here is why I am against it. I'm against it because since 2003, the records will reflect that little money, few sidewalks, few paving of roads was used on the south side, and therefore, why should anyone vote themselves a tax when they are not benefiting from it? And I understand that there are those who possess more information than I do about where the SPLOST money have been used. But they can't speak for whatever reason. But I want you to know that all of us can't go to sleep at the wheel while our nation fall apart right before our eyes because we don't want to offend anyone. And so as a result, our children are dying. Our children are suffering. And it weakening our nation. We will stand up and send our sons and daughters to fight in foreign nations. But when it comes down to standing up for the rights of everyday American citizens, we are nowhere to be found. Or we simply bow our heads in fear. And God did not give us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Now, yes, George Boston Rhymes, I interviewed Mr. Nolan Cox, chairman of the Republican Party, co-founder of the Tea Party. I'm not angry with Mr. Cox. In fact, I respect him. I respect his position, and I think I understand him. I'm voting for President Barack Obama because I feel like he is the best candidate to continue the work that he has started. Sitting down with Nolan Cox don't change my opinion. I know how some hate the president as if though he cannot do anything good. In other words, it's like as if though God made a mistake by allowing him to come from his mother's womb in the same manner that he let the other 43 all-white male presidents come through their mother's womb. But when blacks couldn't vote, couldn't carry a gun, could not assemble in groups of more than 5, couldn't travel across the nation, denied the right to get an education, denied the right to be called a human being, just 3/5 of a human being, under some of the other 43 all-white male presidents. And the annals of European history will not show where black folk did the same thing to any of the white male presidents, when we could not even use the restrooms and travel the highways and to own a family without having our sons and daughters snatched up or lynched on trees. We didn't do what we see doing today. We didn't come out against the presidents. We always had respect for the office of president. However, that's another story for another day. But concerning Mr. Nolan Cox, I want to thank him for the 4 interviews that he did. I was enlightened by his level of elevation on the issues. And I want to thank Jason Schaefer for his interview of Councilman Wright. I'm looking forward before the election on Tuesday for the Valdosta Daily Times to write on the front page or on any article the people who are against SPLOST, and let the headlines be George Boston Rhines spoke at City Council meeting and he said that he's going to vote against it. It seems as if though someone have a special interest in voting it down. And I do want it voted down, but there are others who want it approved for whatever reason. And this is what Mr. Nolan of the Republican Party and the Tea Party co-founder wants. And I am in agreement with Mr. Cox, and I thank God that he was bold enough. I thank God, yes, he's a Republican, but I'm glad he was bold enough to stand up on what he believes in. And I'm standing up on what I believe in. And I could have spoken at Mr. Cox's news conference that he had the other day. I would have been glad to speak, but I was not given that opportunity for whatever reason, and I don't criticize him for that. But the same thing that I said on the earlier videos, I stand the same way. I don't say one thing today and then another tomorrow unless I got some new information to change my point of view. But when I travel Troop Street and when I see the bad to no sidewalks on Troop Street, people don't even have a driveway to pull their vehicles up into. And it's throughout the South Side, throughout District 1, as James Wright have said and highlighted. And I'm gonna put them links right beneath this clip. Please listen. Both of these links gonna have clips to show you why. No, I'm gonna close this out. I'm not going into why I'm voting against SPLOST 7. In fact, I'm gonna close this out. I'm asking you to just look at the clips I'm gonna post beneath this video. Yeah, I'm finna step off the camera, and I want you to look at the clips that I'm gonna post, and I want you to see how can any council member, male or female, how can anyone in the districts that are affected with what I'm about to show you at the end of this video, and ask yourself, why would somebody vote a tax that live in these communities when they have been ignored since 2003? None of the projects, or very few, if any, according to somebody that have told me. They know what the problem is, but they won't say. But somewhere I read in the book of Joel, the 2nd chapter, blow ye the trumpet in Zion, sound an alarm in my holy mountains. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, and it is nigh at hand. And somewhere else I read, it came from the mouth of the one that you go to church on Sunday, Jumal on Friday in Islam, and other religions on the Sabbath. But you placate, you imitate, and you duplicate this man who said, and ye shall know the truth, and that the truth shall set and make you free. And somewhere else I read, you who say that you love Jesus, you who say you love Muhammad, you who say you love Allah, you who say you love Jehovah, or some other 270 names that he's called, you say you follow them. But I remind you of what God said. God said these words, for I have no respect of persons. And if God had no respect of persons, neither do I. And so if they can pave the sidewalks, and if they can take SPLOST and build a library further out from the people that need it, and I don't say nothing, then how can I say I'm a follower of Jesus? How can I do that? Well, I'm gonna close with this note. What God also said, you who say you love God, you who stay in church every Sunday, But when it come outside, but to come outside the walls of your four church, of your four walls of your building, for you to come out and take a stand on the issue without living in fear, you're nowhere to be found. But listen what God said. If you were the seed of Abraham, then you would do the works of Abraham. I repeat, if you were the seed of Abraham, you would do the works of Abraham. Those are the words of Jesus the Messiah. Yes. So if you are indeed the seed of Abraham, then you should not let Mr. Robinson or me stand alone as we stand up for the economically oppressed, or the 30 jail deaths, and 11+ suicides, and everybody in this city seems to ignore. And I'm talking about church folk, people, the members of Islam. The loss of human life don't seem to be valuable no more here in the United States of America. But there's something about your little brother. I'm going to continue to do what my Jesus say and not what your Jesus say, because your Jesus undoubtedly telling you to be quiet, don't say nothing. But Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth, and that the truth shall set and make you free. And this is why South Georgia is in the predicament that it's in. This is why South Georgia seems to be 20 to 50 years behind the times, because we don't have the news media that other places have to tell us the truth. And so what do we do as a result? We go on emotions, we go on feelings, but when it boils down, nothing changes, because Jesus knew it best. And ye shall know the truth. For Jesus understood, like I understand, that only truth gonna set us free. How long will it take for you and the people in South Georgia to understand that when truth comes into the minds of those who seek truth, that all falsehood must vanish, and that falsehood is forever a vanishing thing? Moreover, to the people here in South Georgia and in the Black African American community, you who frequent churches and mosques and synagogues, remember this as I close. We are not who we claim to be, but who we prove ourselves to be over a given period of time. And I'm going to do my part to prove who I am, because after all, in the book of Joel says, to blow the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountains, and that all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord coming, and is now at hand. What say you who say you love Jesus? You who say you love Muhammad? What say you? George Boston Rhymes, kbci.blogspot.com. Bye-bye, we're gone.